Hey guys, this is Danny Boy. We have here the Black Talon Flashpoint Part Deuce. If you recall, we wiped in the last video. This one will show the instance to its fruition. Here we have Hulkmeister closing. If you have forgotten, the key to this fight is simply kiting the sabotage probes. That's really basically it. There's really no other substantial source of damage in the fight. As you can see, we're already nearly done with the battle. In essence, just kite the probes. Don't control them. Don't attack them. Just kite them away. At any given time, you should have at least one person DPSing the boss. I'm not totally sure how the probes choose targets. They seem to... It might just be a proximity thing. I don't know. As you saw there, they detonate after a period of time. And there we go. Wait for loot. Wait for these guys to blow up. And here we have a shiny new chest piece for yours truly, which I will be equipping and showing off in just a bit. There we go. And trench coat. Isn't that just the sex? Yeah. I am jumping in circles, showing it to my friends, as they simply scowl with envy. Off we go. I'm going to be skipping a lot of the trash, just transitioning through it. It's really... the packs aren't terribly varied or interesting. It's essentially just scattered strong, scattered elites, occasionally some healers, or some fire that you shouldn't stand in, but they die so quickly that they rarely get it off to begin with. But here we go. Little stab going. Once again, I am acting as our healer, with Hulkmeister as our tank, and Letnacio as DPS. I generally will not be trying too hard, but I don't recall anybody dying throughout the instance beyond our one group wipe there. Not much we could do about it as we didn't know the mechanic yet. So here we go. Oh, I wish some other attacks had such a nice ground decal. Like my nades, for example. Oh, well. Most unfortunate. So we will simply power through this little hallway. Get to the elevator. There's an elite down there, the battle droid, if you can see him. Look for environmental damage. Now, I'm not sure of this. I used to think that you had to actually run up and smack the explosive crates, but I believe Letnacio just detonated it from range, so perhaps I am wrong. Something to keep in mind if you are a ranged DPS. Hulk getting a little low, myself getting a little low. I'm prioritizing him over myself. Not that it matters, neither of us would really have died had I done nothing. Pretty much the story of this instance. So, everybody's a little hurt, so I'm just spamming some heals. First Hulk, then myself, last will be Letnacio. Using diagnostic scan for some reason. Eventually that will be an energy regenerator, but right now it is untalented, unskilled, to use the game's terminology. Little transition there, skipping some running, some conversations possibly, some screen transitions, elevators. Damn fighters! Ah. So off we go, topping off somebody. Letnacio apparently. Dealing with a random elite. Nothing spectacular. Some backstabs going. Again, this instance really isn't difficult. Through the entire fight, rather the entire flashpoint, the only fight that we had any difficulty with whatsoever was that first one we wiped on, simply because you really need to know the mechanic beforehand. Not necessarily really need to know it. We probably could have recovered from it if we were trying hard, but we are not trying hard. We do not have our try-hard helmets on right now. We are dicking around. Boom! As per usual. Really not a big deal for us. So off we go. Should be approaching another boss pretty soon. Let me know if you guys would prefer just the boss fights. I can simply edit out all the trash, all the conversations. I'm editing out most of the trash already, but I just wanted to give you guys a feel for the Flashpoint. But again, let me know in the comments. I can certainly do that for you. though I'm sure there are plenty of videos out there already demonstrating the strategies for all the fights. So last couple elites, just one elite, a normal trash pack, and if you saw on our far right, at least our far right, when entering the room, there was a boss. I was just turning around real quick to make sure I hadn't aggroed any other mobs. If I had, I probably would have controlled them, but I did not. So topping off Letnacio, finished this one last pack. We wanted to be sure that the room was fairly clear, just to make sure that there was no script that would aggro the entire room when we attacked the boss. Kind of like Scarlet Monastery Cathedral, if you remember that from World of Warcraft. And here we go. We're not sure what to do, really, beyond just it being a tank and spike fight. That is our assumption. We notice 2 healers. We do not control them, as we notice they are both standard, so we just burst them down. I believe Letnacio handles that, if I recall correctly. And I run in for some random backstabs, and I keep us up as best I can. Well, not really as best I can, but I keep us up. I, of course, ignore cover, as always. I try to keep a dot rolling, but again, I usually forget. Hulkmeister closes. I dot up the other standard mob. Kind of pointless, he dies so quickly, but why not? And as you can see, this boss lays down fire. Do not stand in it, as per usual. Hulk is doing a good job of kiting him away so we can get in position to DPS. I'm doing some preemptive heals because I'm not quite sure how hard this boss hits for. He blows cooldowns because, again, not quite sure how hard this boss hits for. I top him off. It's definitely a good idea to kite the boss down that ramp, gives you a lot more room to work with. He is already at half life, and at this point it's really just a tank and spank fight. You do not stand in the fire. The boss does very minimal damage. All he does really is auto attack. So again, pretty much just a test of your basic MMO knowledge at this point. Most of these fights. I have to hand it to him, though, that first fight was pretty good, as far as basic mechanics go. Nice little way to open up the first instance. Something that isn't totally mind-numbing. And here we go. Letnacio gets some new gloves. Endurance, which is nice. PvP. I will not be showing as much PvP as I once thought, simply because it does not seem to be very quick leveling. Not as quick leveling as I thought, especially if you don't win consistently. Which basically amounts to just who has the most, team members, or rather, the highest level team members, and who passes the ball the most in Hutball, which is most of the fights, since it is not faction dependent. You'll probably see a lot of fights, a lot of PvP BGs pop our Hutball simply because it's not faction dependent. So if you do have an imbalanced server, which you probably do, Empire generally outnumbers the Republic on most servers, at least the high pop servers. So you'll be seeing mostly Hutball, occasionally, what's it called? SWTOR, I think, something like that, and Alderaan. So, just playing around with an elite. Hulkmeister gets punted. Ah yes, we notice a chest over here, so Letnacio did his best to ninja that immediately, but was locked into combat, so he was unable to do so. Hulkmeister notices and then does it himself. I, being the good chum that I am, keep him up despite his shenanigans. Only to stop and ninja the chest myself. Of course, of course. And there we go. Unfortunately, it of course auto-rolls as any good MMO will do in this day and age, and it is gear for Letnacio, so we give it to him. This is a bonus boss. I'm completing a bonus objective. From what I could discern, he is simply a moderately hard-hitting tank and spank. He really doesn't do anything of substance whatsoever beyond an auto-attack and maybe a couple of random hard-hitting abilities, but he doesn't punt. He doesn't do any sort of crowd control. Unfortunately, Hulk is not able to hold aggro, probably because he's wasting his time hovering around like a beautiful butterfly. So I am keeping Letnacio up, as he is our top DPS. Blowing my random energy regen cooldown again, not realizing that I should have that up at all times, but wasn't really paying attention, and to be honest, this is one of the very few fights that I actually ran out of energy in. Even spamming my big heal. So, again, keeping him up. Sporadically DPSing. Trying to keep a dot rolling on the boss, but not really succeeding in that respect. Almost down. I don't know why I healed myself right there. Maybe a misclick. Again, I haven't set up my focus frame yet. Next time you see a video, I think that'll be done. Maybe not. It's done in my live game, but these videos are old, so... Oh no! And there we go. Bonus mission down. And yet another Sith Inquisitor chest piece and a lightsaber. Or possibly Hulkmeister, not sure who gets that. Oh, I'm greeting it, so he must have said he had something better. Naded up, moving right along. We're almost at this instance's conclusion, and here we go, the final boss, a Jedi Padawan. I believe they established she is a Padawan. This is a very simple fight. Still, it's entertaining. Run out of that. I'm the first to realize, yes, do not stand in that. That does... Honestly, it really doesn't do that much damage. We'll actually demonstrate that a little bit later. But she essentially jumps around. It's very similar to the final fight in the SWTOR flashpoint, if you play Republic. She jumps around, randomly aggroes. See, right there, it seems to be a random aggro table. Then she force pulls you in, and then she blows you up, which we run out of. It'll do about... oh, maybe a third of your health if you stand in it. Again, we'll demonstrate it in a second. It's really not that scary if you have a healer who's paying attention at all, or simply a healer for that matter, anybody who can heal. I'm randomly backstabbing again. Should be keeping a dot rolling, but not paying too much attention. That is my failing. And Hulkmeister just tanked it. Oh, but he's punted beforehand. Oh no, he did just tank it. It also, yes, it punts you if you stand in it. He had a defensive cooldown up, but again, just to be sure, we'll demonstrate it in a second. Because at the time we thought, oh, is it the defensive cooldown that's making this hit so little? But again, just for all of the shits, for the lulz, he stands and tanks it, and it does maybe a third of his life worth of damage, really not much, does not hit that hard. We were a little disappointed to see that. And there we go. And that is the flashpoint. Hulk gets a nice new lightsaber and an offhand drop, so none of us can really use it. I think it's a tank offhand, yeah. That's it. Thanks guys for watching. Have a good one.